This is a real human skull with anatomical markings, but let's talk about how accurate they actually are. Hi, my name is Paige. I have a master's in human anatomy and forensic anthropology. Let's get into it. This specimen was done by Dolan Carrig. Let's take a closer look at how the artist represented some of the anatomical nuances of the skull. We can see here that on the left side of the skull, he focused on musculature, while on the right side, he focused on how the brain might appear by carving the grooves or sulci on the skull. What's great about this specimen is that although it doesn't have all of the musculature, it gives the viewer an idea of the kind of structures we would see. So rather than having one muscle over the entire skull, there are distinct sections. If you're enjoying this video so far, make sure to follow for more. For instance, we have the orbicularis oculi, the frontalis, the temporalis, and the occipitalis. Another feature that this specimen emphasizes is that the eyeball is smaller than the orbit. Usually you have soft tissue and muscular surrounding the eyeball. However, the lack of it here enables the viewer to really appreciate that the eyeball is so much smaller than the orbit. What's emphasized here is also the diffuse nature of the venous and arterial supply of the scalp and face. While not everything is exactly anatomically correct, it gives a great idea of how diffuse the supply is. So here someone can appreciate how widespread the vasculature is, and it is because of this widespread nature that head wounds will bleed a lot. The artist also chose to preserve the cranial sutures, giving the viewer an appreciation for what underlies the musculature or overlies the brain. While this is a very interesting display, it couldn't be utilized in medical schools because some of the anatomical structures are not in their correct locations. For example, the superficial temporal artery should be running anterior to the external auditory meatus and above the zygomatic arch. However, without the mandible, it's harder for the artist to actually attach that in that manner. While there are anatomical inaccuracies, this model really does a great job of giving the viewer an appreciation for the complex nature of the human skull. Dolan Carrig is an incredibly talented artist, and this is one of his anatomical models. Dolan Carrig also specializes in carving skulls. This is another one of his pieces inspired by the artist H.R. Giger. Here you can see Giger's influence with the carved babies in the back. And that's a little bit more about this medical model. Here at the Bone Museum, it's our goal to preserve anatomical history. If you want to see these specimens for yourself, come and visit us at the Bone Museum in Brooklyn, New York.